Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Hope you're doing well. Today I want to have a conversation with you around an investment opportunity for DAO funding. I was having a conversation with Gank and Walking Keys on NFT gaming and collectibles, and we were talking about the DHF proposal from Matt to see that funds would be shared with the Steem Monsters company in order to ensure our longevity, our perseverance, our success, which would theoretically be, a win-win for the HIVE blockchain, because we are one of the major, maybe the major driver for eyeballs on the HIVE blockchain. So Matt's asking for funding. He talks about the lack of funding, the difficulty in raising capital, and he ultimately puts a price tag. He says 2777 HBD per day. That's 2,777 HIVE-backed dollars. On an ongoing basis, on a daily payout across 6 months, would go a long way to ensuring the success of Steem Monsters, the company, and therefore the longevity and the success of Splinterlands, the game, on the HIVE blockchain. And if you don't know, anybody who has a HIVE wallet can come in here and view the proposals, HIVE proposals, and you're going to find, if you scroll down, Splinterlands DHF proposal 315, and you'll see that we're at 23.14 million HIVE have said yes to it. That's a big deal. We're actually pretty close to passing. 25 would be a pass. And so the question in this video is, would it make sense for the DAO to come forward and buy like a reallocation of assets so that we could have a HIVE wallet that would allow support of a proposal such as this one that would be so crucial and so important to the longevity and the success of Steem Monsters, the company? Because their success is in our direct benefit. It's in our direct interest to see that Steem Monsters has the money it needs to survive the next year or 6 months, so that we can perhaps see the next bull market, so that we can see SPS reach new highs, so that we can see new player adoption and watch where that might take us. I think it's worth talking about. We're 2 million off. Could we ever buy $400,000 worth of HIVE? Because that's what it would look like. HIVE's at 22 cents. You'd need 2 million. You're looking at $420,000-ish, $440,000. And I would imagine there'd probably be slippage at that point. The volume, 2 million volume. We would make waves if we bought $500,000 worth of HIVE in a 48-hour period. And so, I don't know if it makes sense, but we should talk about it. And so that's what we're talking about today. If that sounds interesting, stick around, stay tuned. My name is Dwayne Cunningham, and I go by Infidel1258. I think there's several reasons why this makes sense to look at. And the first is because of the proposal and because Matt says he needs the funding. Matt explained to us that, he explained to the community that there's probably a year worth of funding available, like runway, we refer to it as, for Steem Monsters, the company, and that they are crucial to our success as Splinterlands, the game. And so if they die, we die. And so we should want them to have the funding they need. And if Matt's saying that they've got a year, assuming there's no new income, I believe that figure. And that is assuming they have no new income. And we know there'll be some new promo cards. We know that there'll be pack sales. And so there will be some income. Plus, we expect that there'll be a bull market for altcoins in that time period. I do anyways. And so there's reason to believe that it's probably better than a year. But let's not split hairs here. Matt's coming hat in hand asking for funding from the HIVE blockchain. The HIVE blockchain has assets that are specifically intended for this sort of, structure of reward to dApps that are running on the HIVE blockchain. We are the crown jewel of the HIVE blockchain, in my opinion, based on my knowledge. And so they should want to support us, and we should want to see that support comes through. But it's not just about passing a proposal. If that were it, this would not make a lot of sense to think through. I think it's so much more complicated than that. It's also about, the grassroots guerrilla approach to advertising and promotional campaigns that we've heard and we would expect will come in the coming weeks and months within Splinterlands. For instance, Matt has talked about wanting to hire some agency to drive a professional promotional campaign to drive eyeballs on Splinterlands and see that more people know about this amazing blockchain game. He has clearly said that he doesn't want to do that until such time that we already have the stickiness of player retention. So we got 100 new people signing up for the game every day, but we get one of them buying a spell book. That has to transform into a far greater retention in order to justify a real professional budget for advertising. But what about a grassroots sustainable approach to advertising? That should be part of the picture, even if we get the best agency and we have the deepest pockets to hire the best advertising campaigns, right? We should look to our community to drive conversation around the game and drive promotional excitement, even if we've got the professional side of things happening as well, right? That seems clear to me. And we've heard Nate talk about how they want to release the Soulbound reward cards through community members who will talk about, reveal those cool new cards, which again is a piece of advertising. I'm talking about a grassroots guerrilla approach to advertising and promotion for the game. And I'm saying that if we had a Hive blockchain wallet in the DAO full of funds, then we would have an opportunity to have reoccurring. We would have an access point to reoccurring and sustainable reward structures. Why? Well, every blockchain wallet on the Hive blockchain can upvote content on the Hive blockchain, whether it's on PeakD or on 3Speak or on the Hive. Your content, whether visual, video, or audio or written, can be upvoted by people with Hive wallets, and that can create reward structures. And depending on the rewards, it can drive new eyeballs to discover your content, which can even incentivize more rewards. And so if you make the trending page, more people find you, more people upvote you, you get a wider spread. And so I think what I'm talking about is a multifaceted point of concern for us. It's about supporting content creators, giving some financial incentive, which would be sustainable because, again, you get so many daily upvotes every single day just because of your Hive power. That's sustainable content reward structures for the content creators that can drive a guerrilla approach to advertising. That's cool and crucial. It's also about amplified reach, because the bigger our wallet, the bigger our vote, the more likely we are to touch trending. Therefore, the more eyeballs we're going to reach. And if you're distracted by the idea that Hive blog is relatively small and maybe not a lot of users are on there, and those that are already on there already know about us, two things. One, not everybody on the Hive blockchain knows about us. Many of those users are not Steem Monsters users, Splinterlands game users. Second thing, even if every one of those Hive blog users were Splinterlands players, which is definitely not the case, you have to understand that Hive blog content is visible through Google in the same way that a YouTube video search is. So if you search Infidel 1258 on Infidel 1258 in a search, you got Instagram, you got YouTube, you got X, Hive blog right there. So this sort of visibility is present and possible for every content creator that would be writing about us. And so just look at the model of YouTube, by the way. Like, YouTube itself creates content not by approaching 5 or 10 different, amazing directors or screenplay writers to create the best new cutting edge thing, but rather by opening the doors to anybody to create content. And through this everything goes, anything can stick approach, you get opportunities that really sometimes go viral and blow up. And that creates viewer retention, because you have this infinite supply of content to be viewed. Whatever you're into. I'm trying to build a garden bed right now out of concrete. There's so much content around that. I'm into anime. I see so much content. There's political stuff, video game stuff, Splinterlands stuff. Whatever you're into, that's there. And the same thing can be possible with Hive. And so we should be excited to incentivize that. Now, you might doubt the encouragement that those upvotes would provide. And you might doubt who's going to read those posts, and you might doubt the reach of that, but you have to acknowledge and admit that the sustainable approach to those reward structures are noteworthy. Right now, the team, if they wanted to incentivize you to create content, they would have to pay money out of it in a non-sustainable fashion, either by giving you SPS or DEC or packs. Those things do not grow on trees, and we cannot create them for free. Yes, they can print them, but understand that when they do that, they dilute the supply and affect the supply and demand mechanics, and they drive down prices. Whereas with Hive, if you have a Hive wallet, you have this opportunity to print Hive through your upvote every single day. And that is just a mechanic at work. And so that would be sustainable versus our existing. And so yes, you would amplify reach, you would incentivize content creators, and you would create a sustainable ecosystem where we partner with Hive in a bigger way. Because right now we're kind of approaching Hive and saying hat in hand, like, hey, we need some help. That's Matt's approach. And I appreciate that humble approach, man. Matt's killing it. Love that. This would be a first. Hive hasn't done this before. Hive has said no to other content creators that are game specific on the Hive blockchain. But Matt is reaching out and saying, look, we're a big deal and we want to stay here. And I love that hat in hand, humble approach, because I hope and it looks like, and maybe I think it might work. And so I just go, what would it look like for the DAO to take $400,000 and buy Hive over a week in order to incentivize and approve this proposal? But know that even if we bring it from 23 million to 25 million upvotes, it has to stay above that in order to keep receiving that incentive, that daily payout. And so it's not a lock that we would necessarily ensure that ongoing funding for Steem Monsters, the company, if we bought this asset. But also know that if we buy these Hive assets and stake them, they can be unstaked over a 4-week period. And also, it seems like the price point seems relatively low, so maybe it's an interesting time to invest in it anyways. And also, it's not like a sell our assets and give them away type situation. It's a sell our assets into a reallocation, which is still our value, which is still in the DAO, which is still an asset we own, and it theoretically prints value through the Hive upvote, again, which could incentivize content creation or whatever else. And so I feel like it's like win-win-win from a lot of different angles. And I think it deserves real strong consideration. Now, maybe $400,000 is too much money to consider spending on something like this. I think that probably is. But could we spend $40,000 to push this conversation forward? Could we approach the community and be like, hey, everybody, what if we all bought $100 or $10 worth of Hive and pushed this conversation forward? 5,000 users, $10 each. Not a lot maybe, but maybe some of us can do $100 or $1,000 of Hive and just push that needle a little bit. If you have any justification for speculating on this token, then it feels like now is an interesting time to push that conversation to the forefront and make it happen. So I think this would be good for the DAO proposal. It would be good for creating ongoing guerrilla sort of support for the content creation and promotional, like grassroots promotion. It would create amplified reach for our game and this ecosystem. It would create a sustainable relationship with the Hive blockchain because we aren't just asking, we're investing and we're partnering and we're coming together. And so I think there's a lot of positives that could come out of some partnership there, some approach to buying some Hive and leaving it as a DAO asset. I wonder what you think. Could we do something like that? Could we buy $500,000 worth of Hive? Just on the presumption that, one, it would be worth it to have that connection and that sustainable reward structure for content creators as a reward. I don't know. It's interesting. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Have an amazing day. God bless.